All right, so here's my second attempt at this. The first time my microphone didn't work. So we're going to look at various properties of exponents in order to simplify algebraic expressions which contain exponents. So what we want to look at is some practice problems. You've done properties of exponents before, and you've been using them, you've used them, you've done them, and all of this is grand, but what you have to consider is why those properties are the way they are. So we're going to take a look at those. The first thing we've got to do is a little bit of vocabulary. So when you look at the exponential expression, we have 5 to the 7th power, or 5 to the 7th, or 5 with an exponent of 7. The 5 is called the base, and the 7 is called the exponent or the power. Now when you write this, please make sure that your exponent looks like an exponent. If it doesn't look like an exponent, then you're not going to probably get credit for it. If it looks like 57, I'm probably going to make a 57. The product rule says if you're multiplying like bases, then you add the exponents. Because x to the 5th means x times x times x times x times x. And x to the 10th means x times 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 x. So that means when we write it all out, it's really x, and there's 15 of them. So that's how we get our x to the 15th. Same thing with part B, but this time we have y's. No big deal. Y to the 7th times y to the 8th times y to the 9th. You're just going to add 7, 8, 9. 7 plus 8 plus 9 is 24. And then the last one, the 4, that exponent, it's only on the A. It is not on the 2. If it was on the 2, it would be outside the parentheses. The 5 is only on the A. It's not on the 3. If it was on the 3, it'd be outside the parentheses. The 6 is only on the A. If it was on the 4, it'd be outside the parentheses. So we're going to multiply the coefficients 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to multiply A to the 4th times A to the 5th times A to the 6th. 2 times 3 times 4 is 24. 4 plus 5 times 6 is 17. I'm wrong. 15. So practice these. Quotient rule. Just like the multiplication rule or the product rule, when we're multiplying, we add the exponents. When we're dividing, we subtract the exponents. Also notice that A should not be 0 because you can't divide by 0. Simplify each of the expressions using the quotient rule. So again, we're just going to subtract. A to the 10 divided by A to the 6th. 10 minus 6 is 4. X to the 12th, y to the 5th, divided by x to the 7th, y to the 3rd. 12 minus 7 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. Negative 35, c to the 4th, d to the 10th, divided by 21, cd. Negative 35 divided by 21, well, we're going to simplify that. And then we're going to have c to the 4th minus 1 and d to the 10th minus 1. Power rule says you distribute that exponent to everything inside the parentheses. So if we have b to the 10th to the 7th, that means we're going to have b to the 10 times 7, which is b to the 70. Here we have 12 to the 9th to the 4th. So our base is 12. We're going to multiply our exponents. 9 times 4, which is 36. This is different than if we had a coefficient and a variable, which we'll see a few moments later, okay? And we do the product rule. So take a second and try these. Product of a power, this is the one I was highlighting a moment ago. So when we do the product of a power, we've got to take, and each exponent goes into the variables that are in there, the bases. So we're going to have x to the 15th times 5 and y to the 4th times 5. 15 times 5 is 75, 4 times 5 is 20. 2, this is the one I was talking about. We have 2 and we have a to the 9th and b to the 7th, and that's all to the 5th. So what's happening is we have 2 to the 5th, Then we have a to the 9 times 5 and b to the 7 times 5. Well, 2 to the 5th is 32. 9 times 5 is 45. 7 times 5 is 35. So that's what our final answer looks like. Negative 4, m to the 10th, n to the 20th. We're going to take that all to the third power. So we've got negative 4 cubed. So we're going to put that negative 4 in parentheses. Anytime you have a negative, you want to put it in parentheses. So negative 4 to the third is a negative 64, and we have m to the 30, n to the 60. Try these. Power of a quotient, very simple. Same thing as power of a product, and the difference being that b can't be 0 because you can't divide by 0. So we simplify each expression. So that means everything's going to the 9th power. So a to the 2 times 9, b to the 3 times 9, a to the 18 divided by b to the 27. And then if we have a product in the quotient, then we're still going to do 2 to the 4th and x to the 5th to the 4th divided by 3 to the 4th times y to the 6th to the 4th. 2 to the 4th is 16. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 to the 4th is 81. 6 times 4 is 24. Negative 5g divided by 6h to the 10th. Everything gets cubed. And again, when you have a negative, you put it in parentheses. And if you wanted to, you could have left that as negative 125g to the third on the numerator, but you could also put it in front like we did. The 0 power rule says any number except 0 to the 0 power is 1. 15 to the 0, 1. What's 15xyz to the 0? It's 15xy, because 15xyz to the 0 is only on the z. Whereas in this example, 15xyz all to the 0 is just 1. Negative exponent rule means it's not happy where it is and it needs moved. If it's in the numerator and negative, it needs to be in the denominator and positive. If it's in the denominator and negative, it needs to be in the numerator and positive. So we've got 4 to the negative 3. It's in the numerator, because right now it's like 4 over 1. There's nothing above it. So we're going to write it as the reciprocal, 1 over 4 cubed, and 4 cubed is 64. Then we have 2 to the negative 1 plus 3 to the negative 1. Well, 2 to the negative 1 is 1/2. 3 to the negative 1 is 1/3. I'm going to add these together manually. You're probably going to do it on a calculator and do math enter enter. I got a common denominator of 6, which means my final answer was 5/6. Then I have 5 to the negative 1 minus 5 to the negative 2. 5 to the negative 1 is 1/5. 5 to the negative 2 is 1 over 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. Common denominator is 25, so that's 5/25 minus 1/25, which is 4/25. Negative exponent rule again. We're just going to keep going, and they're asking us to write our answer with positive exponents. So when we subtract, because this is a quotient, we've got x to the negative 3 minus a negative 7, which is x to the positive 4. And we've got negative 5 divided by a to the negative 10. Well, that negative 10 is in the denominator, right? So since it's in the denominator and it's negative, we're going to put it in the numerator and it'll be positive. And finally, we have the quantity 2x cubed all to the negative 4th, which means we really have 1 divided by 2x cubed to the 4th. Well, 2 to the 4th is 16. X cubed to the 4th is x to the 12th. So try these. And there's some practice problems. All right, thanks for playing.